swapped out the mic. We got a new mic. We got the legendary Shure SM7B, used by such people as Dax Shepard, Mark Maron, Joe Rogan. Michael Jackson actually used this mic to cut Thriller. Legendary. You want to see? Check it out. Legendary vocal microphone. It even says it on the thing. So, legendary. So this is the mic we're going to be using. I'm super stoked about it. From now on, instead of me randomly going through Reddit, I'm going to go ahead and vet a couple of things beforehand. So now we have nothing but cool stuff to talk about. Isn't that a novel idea? Having said that, if you guys want me to read stuff, send your stuff. Mail in your stuff. Leave comments and then I'll read it. Just Reddit links will do fine. So give me what you want me to read to you guys, and I will. Till then, I'm going to be picking and choosing from Reddit on my daily go-arounds. You know what I'm talking about? So today on the menu, what we have is the most disturbing fact about the human body, the time John Malkovich saved someone's life, something wild about the French president, not the current one before, wacky bastard, who's a character you despised as a kid, but now as an adult you totally understand what the dumbest way you've injured yourself was, a suspicion you currently hold but can't prove. So, if you don't like any of those things I just talked about, turn back now. Bath number 77133 days ago, 37,900 upvotes. What is the most disturbing fact about the human body? Foodler says, if your brainstem, the part of the brain that mediates most motor control for all of the body, is damaged, you can get locked in syndrome. That means you're fully conscious and aware of your surroundings, but unable to move or speak. The only muscles that remain unaffected in most people are the muscles that move the eyes and the eyelids. You're essentially trapped within your own body, with your only way of communication between blinking or moving your eyes. What do I have to do to not get that? Hey, that sounds like, what's it called? Come on. Lou Gehrig's ALS, right? Where you just lose all function. Are those things tied? Jason Becker, famous guitarist, one of the best, maybe the best that ever lived, got ALS and he's had it for decades now, but he has, like this is saying, the ability to move his eyes. In fact, his family is awesome and they fashioned a way for him to communicate with his eyes to the point he was able to compose and still is able to compose music with his eyes. Yeah, he's a testament to what you can do even in situations like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. Will477 says the fastest killing virus takes around 4 days to kill you. That would be Ebola. Your immune system can kill you in 15 minutes. That's when it's like taken away, right? Tora Mix 19 says some people suffer from exploding head syndrome, which causes them to hear a loud bang when they wake up. Okay, you know what I'm thinking? That is way better than it sounds, right? Exploding head syndrome. Someone's like, I have exploding head syndrome. The other person's like, oh, well, thank God it hasn't happened yet then, right? No, that's not named correctly. Exploding head syndrome. It just causes them to hear a loud bang when they wake up. When they wake up, how's that work? Or after they wake up? That doesn't make any sense. You get woken up by a loud bang, right? That's clearly what they mean. Okay, it's time to Google exploding head syndrome. Here we go. Exploding head syndrome, or EHS, is a type of sleep disorder in which you hear a loud noise or explosive crashing sound in your head. The sound isn't real or heard by anyone else. The episode typically happens suddenly, either when you're beginning to fall asleep or when you wake up during the night. Whatever. Look, I'm sorry if you have it, but it sounds way worse than it is. Can we agree on that? Moving on. Today I learned, in 2013, John Malkovich assisted a man who had tripped and slit his throat on a piece of scaffolding. The man credits the pressure Malkovich applied on his neck with saving his life. And yeah, so there's that, and I'm going to click on it. This was intriguing, so I read a little bit about it earlier. It's just a link to the wiki page, and what we just read was pretty much verbatim at the end of his personal life entry, where it says on June 6th, 2013, Malkovich was walking in Toronto when a 77-year-old man named Jim Walpole tripped and accidentally cut his throat on a piece of scaffolding. Malkovich applied pressure to Walpole's neck to reduce bleeding before Walpole was rushed to a hospital where he received stitches and later credited Malkovich with saving his life. Yeah. He saved his life, definitely. But there was some other cool stuff in here. I'm not going to do a full-on Malkovich wiki read, but cool other stuff in his personal life. Malkovich is the co-owner of the restaurant Bica do Sapato and Lux nightclub in Lisbon. Bica do Sapato, right? Bica? That's a straight Portuguese word, right? I feel like I'm familiar with Spanish. I think that's Portuguese. Sapato, isn't Sapato shoe? Or is that Zapato with a Z? You know what? Let's find out what that means. We're going to find out what Malkovich's restaurant translation means in English. Bica do Sapato, permanently closed. Hey, someone needs to update Malkovich's wiki. Bica do Sapato is permanently closed. Does it still matter if we check what the name is called? Does it matter what the name is called? Does anyone care? It means shoe toe. Bica do Sapato means shoe toe. Thank God that place closed. Anyway, going back to his wiki. So he owns that and Lux nightclub in Lisbon. He lost millions of dollars in the Madoff investment scandal in 2008. If you don't know about that, come on, you got to read about that. I'm not going to do it now, but the Madoff investment scandal was epic. Is it still the biggest pyramid or Ponzi scheme ever? I think it might be. So yeah, Malkovich got caught up in that, and then all the other stuff I said about France and nightclubs and yada yada. And now we learned a little bit about John Malkovich. Today I learned of French President Paul Deschanel, who fell out of the window of his sleeping compartment. He was discovered wandering about in the dark in his pajamas, claiming to be the president of France in 1920. So that's hilarious, right? But then this first comment user, delete this post, said, well, he was the president of France in 1920. But for some real strangeness, soon afterward, Deschanel walked out of a state meeting straight into a lake, fully clothed. His resignation was offered on September 21st, 1920, and he was placed in a sanatorium at Rueil-Malmaison, sorry if I'm murdering that, for 3 months. After his release, he was elected to the Senate in January 1921, serving until his death. Come on. Who's a character you despised as a kid, but now as an adult you totally understand? That was posted by Set to Factory Settings 2 with a number 2, Set to Factory Settings, 4,100 upvotes and counting. Sage Thistle says, King Triton. I already know where they're going with this. I love it. King Triton. God, Ariel's so naive to me now as an adult. She doesn't know this dude aside from what he looks like, decides she loves him, and is willing to give up everything and everyone to join him on land. Except what if Eric didn't love her back? She didn't think of that at all. That contract she signed would have resulted in her being under Ursula's control if that had come to pass. Mintimist responded saying, in the original Little Mermaid, that's exactly what happened. Eric ends up marrying the princess from another kingdom. Are you kidding? Fire Dude CNDN says, Oscar the Grouch. As a kid, I thought he was mean. Now I get it. Just leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. Hey, by the way, there's millions of other people that feel exactly the same as you do, which is probably why you have 4.1 thousand upvotes, and I'll give you one too. That Bolin Girl 519 says, Nani from Lilo and Stitch. Is it Nani? It's Nani. Nani from Lilo and Stitch. As a kid, I thought she was temperamental and way too harsh. As an adult, it's obvious that she's a young woman in a really tough situation who, if anything, is handling things remarkably well. Yeah, I agree with that one. Actually, I'll upvote you. I like Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch was one of the movies I saw when I was living by myself in Las Vegas, and all I had for entertainment was my computer and a library card. No cable, no internet, no nothing for a short while, for about a month and a half. I was only renting movies from DVDs from the library. Lilo and Stitch was one of them. And I remember when he goes, "I'm lost." He's crying and he's saying, "I'm lost." And I started crying because I was alone too. True story. Okay, Rallo229 says, Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life. I never watched it. The Sweet Life, Zach and Cody, right? Don't know it. I'm sorry. Mojo Jojo says, Flying Radish. Don't know it. The Baroness from Sound of Music. Emery Ann says, as a kid, I identified with Lisa Simpson. A few years ago, I realized that I'm Marge. I don't say anything about the nonsense I'm surrounded by. Instead, I just make that grimacing noise and try to keep going on. How does it go? That's my Marge impression. Homie. Is that good? Rad the Reptile says, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. As a kid, he was a harsh jerk, always ruining Will's day. As an adult, I see he's a caring parent trying to help Will grow into a success. What's the dumbest way you've injured yourself? What is the dumbest way you've injured yourself? Okay, I got one. We had this giant pack of frozen hot dogs in the freezer when I was a kid. Obviously, they were in the freezer. Giant pack of frozen hot dogs, and I was tasked with taking an ice pick and just, like prying them apart. And now I'm looking back on this now, guys. Is it weird for a 10-year-old kid to be tasked with prying frozen hot dogs apart with an ice pick? That was a weird situation now that I think of it. Anyway, you probably guessed what was coming. I jammed that ice pick right into my fucking hand when I was trying to pry the dogs apart. Bam. That's the dumbest way I've injured myself. And I was screaming and I was like, oh, this sucks. Rob Doctor 94 says, dislocated my left knee while trying to untie my shoes. I read this earlier. I was thinking, how are you doing this? I could kind of see that. Dislocated my left knee while trying to untie my shoes. So I'm assuming you were standing completely upright and then you locked your knees in place as you bent over to untie them, and then they were like wonk, and the top one like kind of slipped past. Yeah, knee pain is crazy. I have ACL reconstruction myself. That was gnarly. Super Gollum says, I was 16 and working in a restaurant for my first job. I had to cut through a piece of frozen meat with a knife. Are you me? When it didn't work, I grabbed the knife with both hands to push harder. One hand on the handle and one around the blade. Very nearly lost a finger that day. Cut myself to the bone. Yeah, don't do that. Don't grip knives with the blade, guys. Wanted to get a pizza out of the oven. Put one glove on. Grab the baking tray with the other hand. I'm upvoting you. Zor998. I was running once and broke my pelvis. Didn't fall or crash into anything. Pelvis just broke. What? I was running once and broke my pelvis. Didn't fall or crash into anything. Pelvis just broke. Hey, you're weak, huh? Who runs and breaks their pelvis? You. Upvote you. Good job. You can't break a pelvis. Running? My Hero Remedy says, when I was 10, we had one of those handheld fireworks that shoot in intervals. Mine stopped after 3 shots, so I looked into the hole to see if there were any more in there. There were. You're dumb. Not really. You know what I mean. I'm dumb too. Ice pick and the hot dogs. I already told you my harrowing tale. Captain Quoth says, went to pull something out and my grip slipped and basically punched myself in the face. One of my best friends just did that the other night. It was amazing. She had a huge black eye. 289 says, thought sharpening my fingers using a pencil sharpener could give me those sharp nails. It did not. Oh, God. You put your finger in a pencil sharpener and then, oh, God. I have to move on. I'm not going to upvote that. That's just, you just damaged me, man. That's nightmarish. Agitated task 3907 says, stuck my finger between the blades of scissors. And this is getting so nuts. Stuck my finger between the blades of scissors and tried to see if I could pull my finger out fast enough. I couldn't, lol. Then Who Give Two Shit says, I need to know what age this was. All the Robot says, I really hope it was like 27. Throw me your pics. I like this sub. I like this thread. We're just gonna hang out in here for a little while. Throw me your pics says, sitting on the couch eating dinner. The plate was resting on the armrest and I was cutting the food. I pressed down a little too hard on the side of the plate towards me, which was hanging over the armrest. The plate flipped up, hit me in the bridge of the nose and cut me, so I was covered in food with blood running down my face. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Lavend Aim says, when I was a kid, we had blue carpet in the living room. I had just watched some movie or show where the characters jumped into a painting, and I started thinking maybe if I believed really hard, the blue carpet would turn into a vast ocean. So I climbed up on the recliner and swan dove into the floor. So I'll bet you, if we extracted your blood, we would have LSD. Hey, thank God that's all it was though, right? Thank God you didn't think you would be able to fly or something and jump off a building like so many people. Do I like this mic? I think I like this mic. Hey, leave in the comments if you guys like this mic. Oh, you know what? This is a good place for me to put this in. I want to do trivia. I told you guys I was going to do trivia in video now as well, not just in the community section. This trivia question I'm about to ask you, leave it in the comments of this video. And I'll pin you to the top. I'll give you $50 for this one. Let's have it microphone based in a celebration of my fancy new SM7B. I'm going to put some people on the screen. That's how I'm going to go about this. Some famous people. They are using a very famous mic, widely used. Again, it was a toss-up between this one and that one. I want you to give me the mic and model. No, I'm not saying make and model with an Australian accent. I'm asking for the mic and model. See, you can't unhear it. And I'll give you $50 if you're the first to give me the correct answer. And good luck. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're never going to get through this. I hope you guys are in for the long haul. What's a suspicion you currently hold but can't prove right now? That was submitted by the Red Lego 1400 and counting upvotes. A suspicion I currently hold but can't prove right now. I got nothing, but I really want to see what other people had to say. Ogre Sound 1987 says, one of the upstairs neighbors is throwing one of the upstairs neighbors is throwing dog shit out their window at night. Okay, I just had a laughing fit because I just read that. I'll read it again in case I didn't get it. I get a good take of it. Ogre Sound 1987 said, one of the upstairs neighbors is throwing dog shit out their window at night. It's hard for me to read that and not laugh, dude. Someone responded to them. Funny you mentioned this. I suspect one of my downstairs neighbors noticed the shit I throw out my window at night. Oh, God. Cash MG said that my English teacher didn't read essays and based grades on how we were in class. Huh. That's not bad. I'm going to upvote that. I'll bet you they did. That asshole or bitch. MNB9888 says, so all through school I conducted an experiment. In the first paper of every class, when the teacher is most likely to be refreshed and looking to learn and get a feel for their students, I would randomly insert the line of my armpits itch, completely out of context and in the middle of a paragraph. If the teacher caught it, I knew they paid attention. If they didn't, I knew I could slack off. Hoppy Croak lightly says, YouTube got rid of displaying dislikes for viewers because companies complained about being ratioed. Maybe. Wonder Them says, the ongoing construction on major city expressways is an embezzlement scheme. They've been doing construction on the same part of the expressway in Chicago for over 20 years. It's never getting done. They're just pocketing the money. Maybe. Volkovi says that over the past year or so, Reddit changed their algo to make sure more videos make the front page and introduced their shitty video player. All of this is just to increase key user engagement metrics to inflate their valuation prior to their announced upcoming IPO stock market debut. I don't know if I care about any of that, to be honest, because if that's what they wanted to do, cool. I also don't think that is what happened, though, because I saw the front page today and it was a disaster. They incorporated some kind of a poll thing and whatever it is. Yeah, they want to IPO at a high price. They want to be a valuable company, but I don't think that video element that you're talking about really played into it. But if so, if it turns out that was, then cool, good call. I don't think that's the case, though. I think it's just Reddit actually has ebbs and flows of certain shit swapping out and things being more popular one day than they are the next. Who knows? Maybe the videos on the front page will kind of die out. Look Sharp says, my neighbor has friends, in quotes, over every few days. They are all wealthy based on the cars they drive. I saw one guy pacing nervously before entering her house. I saw one guy pacing nervously before entering her house, the neighbor. Gotcha. I also saw a guy brushing his teeth by his car before going in. You know what I'm thinking. Brushing his teeth by his car before... Dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Is this a sex party? What are we talking about? Because with the brushing his teeth by his car... Why? What's up with the guy pacing nervously, though? Like, honestly, I think this is too much. If you're talking about just two people, my neighbor has friends over every few... I'm going to read it again just to make sure, because it's like missing so many pieces that would actually lead to sex party if that is your hypothesis. Again, my neighbor has friends over every few days. They are all wealthy based on the cars they drive. I saw one guy pacing nervously before entering her house. I also saw a guy brushing his teeth by his car before going in. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe, cool. If there's orgies or something over there, fine. But just one guy nervously pacing and then another guy. How about they're having poker parties and the one guy is pacing nervously because he lost his ass the last few times he went there, and he's going to get yelled at by his wife or girlfriend who's already upset that he's going over to a woman's house to play poker. He goes in, winds up losing his ass anyway, and the other guy just ate at the Stinking Rose in LA, where they serve only garlic-based foods, and he wants to make sure he doesn't stink at the poker table. There. How about that? Was that a good enough scenario for you, or are you still thinking eyes wide shut? More Masterpiece 561 says, when I was 15, a kid in my class died and the cops ruled it suicide. I have just discovered some information which led me to believe he was murdered by his uncle, but I can't prove it, and they are somewhat big shots, so nothing is going to happen. That's provocative. Get back to us and let us know. Turn that shit into a movie on Netflix. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. We were going for a long time. I hope the mic sounded good. Please leave a comment as to what you think of the audio quality. I would really appreciate it. Are we on the right track? Does that sound good? Is this warm? Does it sound like good, bassy, punchy sounds in your ears? In your ear holes? Huh? Let me know. I'm interested. And also, obviously, like and subscribe, please, if you could. Love it. And then leave any comments that you want as to what you want me to read. Any Reddit threads that you may want me to read. And I'll talk to you guys soon.